this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
10 athletes will face the toughest job interview in fitness that will push past physical and mental breaking points. You are the fittest of the fit. Only one of you will leave here with an iFit contract for $250,000.
This is when mindset comes in.
Someone will be eliminated.
Pressure is coming down.
Trainer Games on Prime Video January 8th. Watch the trailer on trainergames.com.
Season 2 of Unrivaled Basketball is here, and the talent is unreal. Paige Beckers, Nafisa Collier, Kelsey Plum, Brianna Stewart, and more are back to redefine the game. Unrivaled Basketball, Season 2, sponsored by Samsung Galaxy, tips off January 5th on TNT, True TV, and HBO Max.
These days, it seems like AI agents are just about everywhere you turn, every field and every function. But without identity, you can't trust they'll serve your business instead of jeopardizing it. Fortunately, Okta helps you get identity right by securing your AI agents' identities, giving you a single layer of control, a single standard of trust. So whether an AI agent supports a single user or your entire enterprise, with Okta, you'll turn risk into opportunity. Secure every agent. Secure any agent. Okta secures AI.
There are a lot of politicians who should be getting coal in their stockings for Christmas, appropriately deserved. On the other hand, our friends at Birch Gold think as a smart planner, you deserve silver in your Christmas stocking. That's why for every $5,000 you purchase between now and December 22nd, Birch Gold will send you an ounce of silver, which is up over 60% this year. Let Birch Gold Group help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. And for every $5,000 you buy, you'll get an ounce of silver to put into your Christmas stocking or your safe. Just text my name, Buck, to 989898 to claim your eligibility for this offer before December 22nd. Text my name, Buck, to 989898.
The world's best ski and snowboard athletes are chasing medals. Now you can follow their every move. Join Insider, the official U.S. ski and snowboard fan loyalty program, and get premium viewing at World Cup ski events, exclusive athlete meetups, discounts from brands you love, and a custom welcome gift mailed direct to your doorstep. This winter, show your support as they race for the podium. Head to insider.usskiandsnowboard.org and join today.
Whether you're lighting a candle on the menorah or placing baby Jesus in the nativity, we hope your holiday is full of grace, wonder, and love.
And maybe even a little snow. Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah from all of us at the Clay and Buck Show.
Welcome, everybody, to the Tuesday edition of the Clay, Travis, and Buck Sexton Show. It is just going to be me today, and I'm sorry to say, you will pick it up in my voice, I have a cold, no surprise. I stayed out till 10 p.m. one night, like a crazy man. 10 o'clock Eastern, nuts. How can you do that, Buck? Well, it was my Christmas party, but now I'm paying the price. I have gotten the cold that has been ripping around Florida and I guess probably the whole East Coast. And also, we have Clay out today because his uncle passed away. So he is going to his Uncle Kenneth, 84 years old, a Vietnam War vet, Clay's mother's brother, sadly passed away. It was something that they knew was likely imminent, but it's always so difficult when you lose a family member. It's Clay's mom's only sibling. So Clay is at the service today, and I am here helming the show solo as a result. We do have a lot of news to get to. I apologize if my voice breaks at some point when I'm talking about it, but I am going to be hydrating with as much Crockett coffee as I possibly can. Maybe I need to start making Crockett tea, but that's something we'll work on. So we have updates on a few things that I wanted to spend time with you on. The big stories, the Brown University shooting, Secretary of War Hegseth responding to another strike, this one of the Eastern Pacific, think off the coast of Mexico. Eastern Pacific, blowing up more of those drug boats. That continues. The border situation and the realities of national security with an open border, a conversation that I want to have. A lot of people going to outrage level 11 on Trump's comments on Rob Reiner. I don't know what they think they're going to accomplish by making this a huge thing. But there's a lot of reaction. This has become now the anti-Trump story of the week, it seems, is the Trump truth about Rob Reiner. And we've got some Trump comments from yesterday in the Oval Office, also on healthcare, on a whole range of things. So, and I mentioned the Bondi Beach shooting. We have some updates on that for you as well, on the perpetrators of that. So we have a very busy show. Something I thought was interesting. Look, there are a lot of people out there right now who, in the commentary sphere, who have a approach where they just say the most outlandish thing, usually the fastest or the first, and then if it turns out to be totally wrong, who cares? People paid attention when they did, and then they just move on. We try to do something different here where we do forward-leaning analysis. We'll say, okay, this is where I think something is likely to go, but here's the evidence, here's the proof, here's my level of certainty or lack thereof. Just essentially total honesty. I mean, I speak, and Clay, when we're here on this show together, I speak to you in the same way. This is actually how I was trained to do radio. Going back to when I worked for Glenn Beck at the Blaze. Glenn told me this. His program director, Dom Theodore, told me this. They said, you are talking to a dear and trusted friend. That is radio. And that is what we do every day. I talk to you the same way that I speak to my brothers, who I talk to pretty much every day, my parents, Carrie, about these issues, right? About these issues. And that means that when I think something is, tingling my spidey sense, I'll tell you. And then if it turns out not to be the case, well, then, all right, fine. For example, when I was doing the terrorism analysis, and I've done a lot of on-air terrorism analysis in the past, particularly actually at CNN, although Fox News as well. And in the immediate aftermath of a terrorist attack, sometimes while it's even still unfolding in part, I've had to say, this is what I think is happening. And I've never been really wrong. I haven't been always spot on, but I've never been so off that I felt like, oh my gosh, I missed that. And generally I nail it dead center of the bullseye. Just saying. More often than not, that has been the case. Something was worth bringing up with you yesterday, and I still can't entirely verify this, but there is more pushing in that direction. Something very weird is going on here where the Brown University shooting, and just in case you aren't aware, Brown University is maybe for a quote elite school, and we're going to talk about this whole notion of elite institutions and elite schools later on. An incredible piece on DEI over the last decade and what it has done to these places was written in Tablet magazine. Incredible piece, which I want to get to. Basically destroyed. The notion that these places are prestigious is a joke now to anybody who's paying attention. But Brown University may be the most it's the most left-wing Ivy League school, and I think proudly so. And it's among the most left-wing universities in the country, just as context. So when you have somebody on that campus, Ella Cook in this case, who was targeted and was killed, what is the chance this is a coincidence that she is the vice president of the college Republicans? It had nothing to do with that? Maybe. And like I said, if it turns out there's no connection whatsoever, well, then I'll come back and say, hey guys, we're leaning in this direction. Didn't report it as fact. I'm just saying this is where the analysis is leading me. But Mark Halpern, who is a reliable source in his media reporting. I cannot think of a time, certainly in recent years, when Halpern face planted on something. I think he was very good. He was the only left of center guy the only Democrat really who nailed the Trump election, this last Trump election, and was telling people for months. We were playing him on the show because I was saying, see, he knows Trump's going to absolutely destroy the competition. But here he is saying that he has been told. So again, this is a little bit like a game of telephone. This is a third-hand source now, not even second-hand, but he has been told that the Brown University attack was targeting Ella Cook, a prominent conservative on campus. Play cut 2.
People are telling me that the family of Ella Cook, the Alabama young woman who was a sophomore, has been told that she was the target of what happened at Brown. I have no idea whether that's true. There's other theories about why the person did what they did, but now that we don't know who the assailant is, it's going to be harder to say. But if it's true that she was targeted, that's a big story because she was one of the most visible conservatives on that campus. Don't know that it's true, but probably most of you don't even know that's being alleged because you'd have to follow certain accounts on X or have sources as I do who are telling me that.
So, like I said, it certainly would be very coincidental that a prominent conservative, a known conservative on a campus that is also among the most radical left-wing campuses in the entire country. They don't have grades there. I don't know if you know this. I had an aunt who went to Brown many decades ago. She wouldn't like me saying many decades, but decades ago, I had an aunt who went to Brown. They don't do grades. And so it's a kind of a woo-woo left-wing place. I bring that up only because not a lot of conservatives there. Okay. Even for a college campus. Very rare. So you're whittling down. You're looking at the percentages. You're whittling down the coincidence factor here piece by piece. Then there's something else that makes me think about this. The gunman said something. And the Providence police chief, this is cut 5, Oscar Perez, will not tell they're still looking for the guy. They haven't found him. There's like photo of him out there that they've released. He's stocky build. They won't say what he said. Play 5.
There's a report the shooter yelled something right before his shot came in. Could you tell us what that was?
Yeah, it's part of the investigation, Johnny. Yeah.
Now, the only reason I asked that, though, is, for instance, like with the Unabomber, his brother recognized the writing. So it's possible a friend or family member might recognize if the person said something that was significant. Other than the 9mm, is there anything else inside that auditorium that you could tell us?
No, that's correct. And listen, like I said earlier, investigations will bring us to evidence that we need to collect in order to be able to prosecute. With that being said, we're going to continue to collect evidence, and if it leads us to something to that nature that's going to be extremely helpful for us to identify somebody, we'll be the first ones to put it out.
Did the suspect yell, like has been reported, and there's been some erroneous reporting, but did he yell when he came in the classroom? And how valuable have witness statements been from those who survived?
Listen, my heart goes out to the victims. It goes out to the families. And I'll tell you that their cooperation has been extremely helpful. And that, with that being said, we'll continue. And I'm going to respect the fact that, and I hope that they get better. And my heart and soul goes out to them. So,
did he yell though?
So that's something that we're investigating. We took statements and we have to confirm that.
He knows that they yelled something, or that the guy yelled something. He knows. He knows what was yelled, too. Oh, what? A witness to the shooting who almost died himself or herself is going to make it up? So we know that something was yelled. Again, going into is this just a totally random act, or is this a targeted political killing? Essentially another assassination on a college campus. Because that's what targeting a prominent conservative on a left-wing campus would constitute. I don't know if that's what this is, but I do know that there are some things happening here that make me think that is increasingly likely. Why can't he tell us what was shouted? This is a bit like when I went on TV to talk about the shooting of those 2 National Guard soldiers in D.C. I was told it wasn't confirmed, so I didn't want to say it on the air, but I was told by sources in the military that he yelled Allahu Akbar. You pretty much know what you're dealing with when someone's killing someone and they yell Allahu Akbar, right? So what did this guy yell? By the way, I'm not saying it was Allahu Akbar. I'm just saying sometimes what they yell when they're shooting somebody is a big clue as to what happened here and why they did it. Why isn't law enforcement telling us? I think because it's very possible, I should say, that it is because they don't like what the implication is of what was said. Providence, very left-wing town. Rhode Island, very left-wing state. Democrats run the whole thing top to bottom. Do you think that the system there wants to deal with the fact that there may have been a high-profile, again, if this was the case, a high-profile assassination on a college campus of another conservative mere months after the assassination of Charlie Kirk? No, they recognize the problems that would constitute. So we'll continue to follow this. We don't have the shooter in custody yet. They still haven't been able to find him. Seems like some level of real incompetence here at work with the Providence police department, but they haven't been able to find this individual, this shooter. And perhaps it could have had a personal grudge. It could have been, it could be any number of things. And I understand that. But as we move along here, the delay from law enforcement in telling us what was said, added to the fact that this happened to be a prominent conservative on campus, it's certainly worth noting, isn't it? And if we find out that my theory here, based on the facts, if this does come true, as in this is where I'm leaning, I haven't said this is what happened, but where I'm leaning comes to pass, then we'll know that they played political games with this. We'll know. And that's why it's worth saying this now, so that you know and we know that we understand what has gone on here, but we have to see where the facts take us. We have to see what the assailant, the alleged murderer here, well, who was he and what was he all about? But we'll continue to follow this because I'm starting to get that, they don't want people to know what really happened here vibe. I'm starting to get that in a big way. All right, from all the years I spent in D.C. and now in the media world, I've seen how important it is to understand how politics can move the markets. Insiders have always had a head start until now. This is why I began Money and Power, an e-newsletter. It's totally separate from this program, by the way. It's a project I'm doing on the side. I do it with my brother, who is a Ivy League trained former hedge fund stock analyst. And we have a portfolio. We look at the stories that really matter in politics and translate them into investment opportunities. And we publish the portfolio so you can see how have those recommendations done. I would just tell you, take a look at how they've done recently for yourself. Now, we translate what's happening in DC into clear, actionable research you can use to get ahead. It's boots on the ground financial intelligence designed to help you move before the crowd. You can join Money and Power, read these really incredible stories and learn what investment opportunities we think are out there for 82% off the regular price. Go to joinbuck.com today. That's joinbuck.com and get your first alert before the next policy shock hits, paid for by Paradigm Press.
Saving America, one thought at a time. Clay Travis and Buck Sexton. Find them on the free iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
10 athletes will face the toughest job interview in fitness that will push past physical and mental breaking points. You are the fittest of the fit. Only one of you will leave here with an iFit contract for $250,000.
This is when mindset comes in.
Someone will be eliminated.
Pressure is coming down.
Trainer Games on Prime Video January 8th. Watch the trailer on trainergames.com.
Season 2 of Unrivaled Basketball is here, and the talent is unreal. The best women's players on the planet are running it back with even bigger moments and bigger stakes. Don't miss as Paige Beckers, Nafisa Collier, Kelsey Plum, Brianna Stewart, and more take the court and redefine the game. This isn't your regular season. This is Unrivaled, where the pace is faster, the energy is higher, and every athlete shines. Unrivaled Basketball, Season 2, sponsored by Samsung Galaxy, tips off January 5th on TNT, True TV, and HBO Max.
These days, it seems like AI agents are just about everywhere you turn, every field and every function. But without identity, you can't trust they'll serve your business instead of jeopardizing it. Fortunately, Okta helps you get identity right by securing your AI agents' identities, giving you a single layer of control, a single standard of trust. So whether an AI agent supports a single user or your entire enterprise, with Okta, you'll turn risk into opportunity. Secure every agent. Secure any agent. Okta secures AI.
Running a business is hard enough, so why make it harder with a dozen different apps that don't talk to each other? one for sales, another for inventory, a separate one for accounting. Before you know it, you are drowning in software instead of growing your business. This is where Odoo comes in. Odoo is the only business software you'll ever need. It's an all-in-one, fully integrated platform that handles everything. CRM, accounting, inventory, e-commerce, HR, and more. No more app overload. No more juggling logins. Just one seamless system that makes work easier. And the best part, Odoo replaces multiple expensive platforms for a fraction of the cost. It's built to grow with your business, whether you are just starting out or already scaling up. Plus, it's easy to use, customizable, and designed to streamline every process, so you can focus on what really matters, running your business. Thousands of businesses have made the switch, so why not you? Try Odoo for free at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
The world's best ski and snowboard athletes are chasing medals. Now you can follow their every move. Join Insider, the official U.S. ski and snowboard fan loyalty program, and get premium viewing at World Cup ski events, exclusive athlete meetups, discounts from brands you love, and a custom welcome gift mailed direct to your doorstep. This winter, show your support as they race for the podium. Head to insider.usskiandsnowboard.org and join today.
Welcome into the second hour of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show. So first hour, we did a deep dive into the Brown University shooting and how indicators are looking like this is a political assassination, and there are things pointing in the direction of an Islamist, jihadist ideology behind it. That is not confirmed. That is just where the facts currently are pointing. Could change. Just like how they arrested the wrong suspect and the guy had nothing to do with it, right? Things change, we tell you. But we already know for sure that the Bondi Beach attack, which occurred over the weekend, I believe 15 were killed in that. The Bondi Beach attack was definitely jihadism, definitely Islamic radicalism. One thing that's always interesting to note about Islamic radicals, they don't think that they're radicals. They just think they're the real ones, the real Muslims. They always say it. In fact, they, and Al-Qaeda has done this a number of times, and this really came to prominence in the earlier phase of the GWAT, the Global War on Terror, when Abu Musab al-Zarqawi and AQI, Al-Qaeda in Iraq, which actually broke away from Al-Qaeda proper, and Al-Qaeda thought that AQI was being too violent, believe it or not, toward Muslims, because Zarqawi was a psychopath. I mean, he was a sadist. And there was a sense that they were killing too many too many Muslims who were just not good enough Muslims. This is the Takfiri doctrine, you know? So you are cast out if you are Takfir. So we've seen that before as well. Here in this case, you have these Muslims attacking Jews. And that is not, unfortunately, a surprise or a rarity in these kinds of attacks. Targeting Jews at a Hanukkah celebration. And it is very obvious these guys had ISIS flags at home. There's a father and son team. The father was killed. The son is in the hospital with wounds. It was a father and son team. They wanted to kill as many people as possible. I have a few things I want to talk about with this. One is the police response, and then also a little bit about the training and possible support that these guys got. Well, the police response was abysmal. The police station was close. Police station was not far away at all, and police were able to get there very quickly. The problem is the police were useless, at least some of the police who arrived. A number of them on video, unfortunately caught on video for them, were female officers who were completely useless and did nothing. You know, this is where there's a whole conversation to be had about the role of women in law enforcement. Now, there are some great female cops out there. I get it. I don't want you all calling in right now and yelling at me. But in an era where we are increasingly told that cops are not allowed to use lethal force, except in the most clear-cut circumstances, but have to use force, meaning wrestle, meaning, use their arms and maybe their knees to do takedowns and stuff. Women are at a disadvantage. It's just true. It's obvious. Women are at a disadvantage. And if I'm a bad guy and a female, and a guy gets out of the car and then a woman gets out of the car, I know which one I'm going to try to wrestle and maybe get a gun from first. Obviously. Can we just speak about these things as though we all know what's going on? Because that's what's happening. So that is true. Doesn't mean that there's not a role for women in law enforcement. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we need to stop living in this fantasy that is pushed on us by the media and by Hollywood, where 120-pound women with the right, jujitsu lock are going to be able to wrestle. No, false, wrong. They can shoot somebody for sure. You have a much better chance of arguing or of telling me, well, look, they can shoot. Just by the way, there are a lot of women who can shoot the flies off a net at 100 yards. Way better shots than me. I'm not a great shot at all. I'm not disparaging women's ability to shoot at all, but I'm just saying if you're telling people in law enforcement, don't shoot unless you have absolutely no choice. You got to try to wrestle the suspect. You got to try to get the knife out of his hand. Women are at a disadvantage. Women are at a disadvantage. Just the way it is. And notice how for some of you that's going to, and maybe even some of the female law enforcement listening, that might trigger people a little bit. That might be a little, it's true. We have to say what's true. This is obvious. Just like I was saying in the last hour, radical Islam is the biggest problem when it comes to terrorism and people trying to undermine civilization through violence and a theocratic totalitarianism. By far the biggest problem in the world of that type. Nothing else even close. So, again, we say the things that we know to be true. So the police response was abysmal. And now they're saying that they're going to get, this is the New South Wales Premier. That's a state in province, I guess, or whatever they call them there in Australia, saying they're going to get the toughest gun laws. Play 29. Please. Do we have cut 29?
Our approach to this terrible crime in New South Wales is multifaceted, but I want to make it clear that our efforts to firstly work with the New South Wales Police on counter-terrorism efforts continue. Secondly, fighting anti-Semitism in our community, which will not be done in a week or a month, but is a long-term important project for the government of New South Wales, working with civic leaders and the people of this state. Thirdly, gun law reform in New South Wales, with legislation brought into the New South Wales Parliament to make gun laws tougher in this state. I'm determined to bring in the toughest gun laws in Australia, and they'll be significantly tightened in New South Wales.
How are you going to tighten? How are you going to make gun laws tougher? Someone explain that to me. And how would that have stopped this? There are millions of guns in circulation currently in Australia. You're going to do another buyback? A buyback that resulted in even more guns in circulation? This is an absurdity. And if you're wondering how absurd it is, think about this. It's not like these guys couldn't have pulled this off or even something far worse without guns at all. The problem is the person, okay? The problem is the terrorist. The Israelis have understood this for a long time with their security practices. It's not about a tool. A gun is a tool. The problem is somebody who thinks to himself, I'm going to find people of a religion that I hate because I've largely been trained by my culture and my ideology to hate them. And I'm going to try to get them when they are absolutely helpless and when they're supposed to be having joy and be with family. And I'm going to murder as many of them as possible because I have convinced myself in some demonic inversion of morality that is a righteous thing to do. The problem is that person, right? The problem is the jihadist in this instance. And they could have done this very, very much using vehicles. And that has been done in the past with far worse casualties than what we saw here, I might add. So what are you going to do? You're going to have further car restrictions. You're going to have these gun restrictions. They could build a bomb, or they could do what they've done in the UK and so many other places. Just run around stabbing people. You get somebody who is crazy enough and gets a big kitchen knife, they can kill 10 people before the cops can do anything about it. And that's with a knife. In the UK, they're so silly, so unserious on security matters that they're talking about banning knives. That's great. Everyone's going to be sitting there, chopping up their steak with spoons. We can't make these kinds of concessions to the barbarians. We can't decide that our own society doesn't get, and this brings me right into the Second Amendment in this country. The bad people, the demons, don't get to decide how I live my life or how I defend myself. They don't get that vote. And unfortunately in Australia, it seems increasingly they want to give the demons that vote. They want to give the evildoers that capability. Now these guys, it seems also very likely, were trained up by a jihadist group. Some of you saw, there's video making the rounds. The guy does maneuver he maneuvers in the reloading of his rifle with some efficiency. This isn't like ninja stuff. It doesn't take years and years of practice. You get enough time out on a range. Anybody can learn to reload and fire a rifle, especially innocent old ladies and kids walking around. This isn't something that requires some, hard to come by skill set. But you're going to see more about this. It looks like these guys trained in the southern Philippines. And that brings us to yet another realm of jihadism. Separate from the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. People will probably talk about that because it's the MILF. Yes. The MILF terrorist group. The MILF had essentially a negotiated end with the Philippine government. So it's actually offshoots of the MILF. The MILF was about is really a separatist group more than anything else. The ones that you have to look for now are the Islamic State affiliate in the area, the Abu Sayyaf group. They've been doing terrible things for a long time. The Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters, the BIFF, they're breakaway from the MILF. So there are these jihadist entities that operate in the southern Philippines. So that is where these guys had traveled recently, according to Australian police. Spent most of November in the Philippines. This has been confirmed, by the way. Quote, it remains unclear what they were doing there. I don't think it's going to be that unclear for long. Their final destination was Davao, a city on the southern island of Mindanao. ISIS troops held a siege in a different city on Mindanao in 2017. This is a hotbed of Islamic radicalism. I can tell you that when we used to do the counterterrorism work in New York, a lot of the bad guys who wanted to blow up the subways or blow up a synagogue, and those are usually what the plots are, just kill a lot of people in Central Park or Times Square, they, interestingly enough, spent some time in either Pakistan's tribal areas or Yemen, which is basically one giant tribal area, before they engaged in their attack. And then we would find out, they were trained. And they got spiritual sanctioning. They got ideological affirmation, if you will, from the jihadists in there, and the blessing of that jihadist group to go kill a bunch of innocent people. So another instance where we have jihadist terrorism, and the left doesn't want to talk about it. The left doesn't want to talk about it. They want to make this, but they want to make it about the guns. It's not about the guns. It's about the guys, the people who did this. All right, Cozy Earth is making the softest sheets you'll ever sleep on. It's a bold claim, I know, but it's true. I love Cozy Earth. And go to CozyEarth.com. They are the perfect combination of luxury, comfort, and relaxation at CozyEarth.com. Their bamboo sheets are among our favorite products, but honestly, their bubble cuddle blanket is a showstopper. I gotta tell you, Clay loves it. He's got one. Laura's got one. Does Clay sometimes steal the bubble cuddle blanket from Laura while he's drinking rosé? Can neither confirm nor deny, but I know that Carrie and I fight over our bubble cuddle blanket. I love it. I should probably get two, but it's nice because it makes us snuggle up together on the couch. So cozy, just like the name, Cozy Earth. Give the gift of everyday luxury this holiday season. Go online to CozyEarth.com today. Use promo code BUCK for up to 20% off. That's code BUCK for up to 20% off. If you get a post-purchase survey, be sure to mention you heard about Cozy Earth on the Clay and Buck Show. Go to CozyEarth.com. Use code BUCK today.
Want to be in the know when you're on the go? The Team 47 Podcast. Trump highlights from the week. Sundays at noon Eastern in the Clay and Buck podcast feed. Find it on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, welcome back in here. A little throwback moment as we're doing a lot of terrorism analysis. And one of the reasons I get so passionate about this is that for years I was, so shall we say, swimming upstream because I was sane and because I knew what I was talking about. And I would go on places, including CNN. MSNBC had me on to debate. You can probably find this in the archives, too. It was actually Glenn Greenwald. They had me on one time to debate, and that was it. I was never invited back. We were debating radical Islam. I think Glenn and I actually would see eye to eye on a whole range of free speech issues today. But on this issue, on the issue of radical Islam, Mr. Greenwald and I are in still firm disagreement. But I think they thought, they looked at me to like, this guy, what can he really, you know what I mean? Let's fillet him like a fish on TV. And, oh, this fish had some tricks. He could flop around a little bit in the boat. He knew what he was doing. But to that end, also over at CNN, this is on the day of the Nice terror attack, which I always, anytime someone says it's about gun control, the Nice terror attack involved a truck. It killed 86 people, 15 children, injured 450 people. It was a rented truck, okay? This guy rented a truck and killed 86 people and wounded hundreds. Didn't need a gun, didn't need a bomb. And this was an Islamic State attack. And this was on, Bastille Day is a big deal in France. It's not their Independence Day, actually. It's different. It's like the storming of the Bastille, the French Revolution, which, didn't go so well. But conversation for another time. But this is from that day. So I was on this panel, and I am not kidding when I tell you, this is 2016. This is 10 years ago now. I'm on this panel, and they're all blaming the French. There's like 4 or 5 other guests. I mean, I'm going on memory now. I haven't seen the video myself. I know the team pulled it up, but they have like 4 other guests, I think. And they're all like, oh, this is what happens when you don't assimilate. And like, what we really have to figure out here is why aren't we making the Muslim minority in France more comfortable? I'm like, more comfortable? One of them just killed almost 100 people with a truck on the national holiday. What the hell is wrong with you people? Anyway, you can get a little flavor of that. I mean, this was a whole 7 or 8 minute long segment, but here's a little bit of the exchange with some third tier academic who's like, I'm going to explain terrorism to Buck. Play it.
The degree of right-wing politics, Islamophobia, and I do disagree with Mr. Sexton, because the fact is, and I'll say this to you, Buck, directly, the vast majority of ISIS's victims are Muslim, not us, not the West.
I'm fully aware of that. I mean, no one disputes that.
They're coming after us. They're not coming after us more than they're coming after each other.
I was referring to the Islamic State, which very clearly through its external operations arm, which has been at work, by the way, for a number of years now, along with Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, which until recently was considered the most virulent and deadly of the jihadist terrorist organizations for this kind of external plotting. They're continuing to do this. Of course they're killing Muslims. They're killing Muslims in Turkey, in Saudi Arabia, in Iraq. I've actually seen some of the handiwork of what they've done in places like Iraq and Afghanistan.
But the people who are doing it.
So this is to pretend.
But the people who are doing it, they can consider themselves Muslim as well, even though the victims are Muslim.
I'm not getting into a theological discussion. I'm trying to just focus on the counterterrorism aspect of it.
She's saying that the people who it's being perpetrated against are Muslim, but the attackers can be Muslim as well.
Right, but I have to say, I don't understand why that's being directed at me. By no means did I say that wasn't the case or it wasn't true, so I don't understand why that's being directed at me. I'm merely saying...
You said they're coming after us. They're not just coming after us.
They are in fact coming after us. So I need to sit here and talk about all the terrorists.
But they're mostly going after each other. They're
when
going
I say
after
us,
Shia,
I'm referring to America and Europe and the West and all peaceful Muslims and everyone around the world who doesn't believe that strapping a suicide vest on because you're disaffected, because you have some belief that somehow this will take you to a place of paradise and virgins, whatever the case may be, everybody who isn't on that team is on my team. This notion you have in your head that when I say us, I'm referring to what? Republican Americans? I was in the counterterrorism center of the CIA.
Americans.
I was working with foreign allies all over the world to try and stop these kinds of attacks. You're making an implication that's preposterous. And I have to be honest with you, after this sort of an attack happens, there is this knee-jerk reaction that we see from people who are center to left of center, constantly trying to sort of wrap all this around the bad rhetoric of people who want to speak openly and honestly about terrorism. We're just trying to empower the moderates from within Muslim societies. We're trying to empower our allies in countries that we do work with in the Muslim world and outside the Muslim world to stop people from getting mowed down at a celebration of a national holiday. That's it.
Which include other Muslims.
Okay.
I've said that 4 or 5 times already.
Okay. We're getting off track here.
We are getting off track.
Thank you.
Nice try, Lemon, you moron. That guy's honestly a true dumbass. And I would say it to his face right now, over and over. I could care less. He is a dumbass, really. The fact that CNN gave him his own show as long as they did is appalling. And he's a baby, too. He's unprofessional. He's a baby. He's childish, and dumb. So, and anyway, his little third, notice the little back and forth. He's trying to get it back to, we really just want to talk about Islamophobia. This was within hours of 86 people being mowed down by a truck. And we didn't even play some of the other people, all the throat clearing about, this is really about, we don't want to single out Islam or whatever. It's like, that's your takeaway? The big problem we face is, this is he did some great stuff. Norm Macdonald did some great stuff. I think, though, maybe his all-time great is that the real threat is that they're going to detonate a nuclear bomb in an American city and just think of all the Islamophobia that will happen. Because that really just gets to the core of this insanity. It's like a death wish from within our own society. The problem isn't the terrorists, whether it's in Bondi or it's on Brown University campus or it's at the Covington School, or it's in Iraq, or it's, the problem are not the enemies of civilization. The problem is the people who are trying to stop them. And everything we do to stop them somehow either justifies them or makes them worse. This we saw in Gaza, too. Look at Israel with Gaza, October 7th. Everything Israel does is terrible, it's bad, it's genocide, according to some people, and it's making the problem worse. You're creating future generations of suicide bombers. Trust me, they love Gaza suicide bombers plenty before October 7th happened and before the Israeli response. Gaza, the Palestinians have been celebrating that stuff for as long as I have been alive. They're not celebrating, their great math scores on the testing there, I gotta tell you. They're not celebrating all the achievements they're making in the sciences. But suicide bombers, they got a lot of time to celebrate that. It's just true. And so why do you think now we have all these, do you think it's just the mayor of Providence? I'm sorry, not the mayor, the police chief of Providence who doesn't want to say what has already been reported by eyewitnesses that this guy was yelling Allahu Akbar? No, it's his boss, the mayor, probably got a call from whatever, Democrat third-rate clown is who's the governor of Rhode Island right now? I don't even know. I mean, it's like, is Rhode Island even really a state, guys? Let's be honest. It's kind of like Massachusetts' little brother. Who? Daniel McKee. Be honest with you, never heard of this guy. He's a Democrat, right? Obviously, the state's very Democrat. Or is he one of those like Mitt Romney Republicans? Democrat? We'll find out. My point is that the chief of police knows that the whole game here is we got to make sure we keep a grip on all the Islamophobia. Got to keep a grip on all the Islamophobia. No, actually, I think we should be honest about things. Because you see, and this is what's happening more and more, and now that we even have X, at least we have one place where people can share things more honestly, without fear of being shut down or throttled, at least not in the same way they were before. We all notice this. And they're never going to really win a war on noticing. Actually, this is a perfect place for me to bring into this conversation something that I think is, can we put this up? Team, I haven't even sent this to you yet, but I wanted to get to it today. I'm not sure Clay will be as fired up about this one tomorrow as I am, so I wanted to get to it. But it's this piece in Compact, I'm sorry, wait, let me make sure I'm giving this the right. Yes, compactmag.com. Compactmag.com, The Lost Generation by Matthew Schmitz. This is, we should put it up at clayandbuck.com. This is an amazing takedown, piece by piece, of what has really happened in the DEI apparatus in America in the last 10 years. He even says, he starts us off, I'm quoting him here, beginning in 2014, Prestige Industries decided they urgently needed to diversify. They didn't purge established boomers. Instead, they did everything possible to avoid hiring white millennial men. This is the story of a generation derailed by DEI. This is what I have observed. And it really coincided with my time in the private sector, at least in the media, this obsession with, who ran CNN? An old white guy, Jeff Zucker. But who are they trying to hire? As many minorities and particularly minority women as possible for all the roles. The lower down roles, right? The entry level and, the 3 to 5 year kind of positions. This is true across Wall Street, true across law, and they were open about it. This is what the diversity hiring, and one of the reasons why I think there's such a frustration to my fellow millennials out there. We got the worst of this. It was the generation above. If you really hit your peak professional years in the 90s, there was some of this, but you escaped it. But if you started to in the early mid 2000s, 2010, if you were trying to hit your professional peak, you were completely locked out of as a white male. So if you were around age 30 at this time, 30 to 45, let's say, as a white male, or even entry levels, let's say, 20 to 45, you were unhirable in Hollywood as a writer, in academia, all the colleges, this whole piece, this Matthew Schmitt's guy, it's a brilliant piece. Truly. And you should read it because you'll understand what's really happened to my generation. And I was only able to escape it because, of some good luck, some great mentors, Glenn and Rush and people letting me have a chance in a business that has a very high failure rate to begin with, which is, media and commentary. But I saw it all around me, my peers, my colleagues, not in media, but people that I knew in other industries, particularly people I knew were trying to make it in creative industries. No chance. You weren't going to get that. Writing in Hollywood, you had no shot. He goes through all these different details. But also, you look at a place like Goldman Sachs. And I actually had a friend some years ago who was in HR at Goldman Sachs, and she talked to me about this extensively. All the guys who were at the very top, once they started doing this stuff 10 years ago, the people who were the fat cats who were making the big bucks, they got to stay. Diversity did not mean we were replacing the CEO. That is not what it meant. Diversity over the last 10 years meant, oh, you're 25, you need a job? Sorry, we have to take somebody who is a person of color. Oh, you're 30 years old and you're looking for your big break to get into, like I said, a university teaching position, news media, television writing. No chance. Has to be. And this is the part of it. These institutions, I mentioned this before with Brown University, they became a lot less impressive because they got rid of standards. They started making decisions not based upon excellence at the craft or the ability that one has, but on skin color, explicitly racist policies. And this was all throughout our society. And it was my age cohort going up 10 years and down 10 years, give or take. So say, if you're 30 to 50 right now, man, you got screwed over professionally if you were trying to work in any of these fields. And the other part of it is you're not allowed to notice. You're not allowed to notice that when they started doing this and they insisted on hiring women and minorities for roles that otherwise white men would have gotten. And like I said, this piece, compactmag.com, writes it up. We'll put it up at clayandbuck.com so you can find it easily. We'll cross post it there. All of a sudden TV got really bad. Movies started to suck. What happened? Well, you weren't hiring the best writers anymore. It's pretty straightforward. Also, the publishing industry. I was telling you about books before. What's happening to conservative books? Publishing industry is in a really rough state. You know why? They had published too many white male authors, and so there was all this rush to publish books that are garbage. But the people were the right color or the right gender for the purposes of the publishers. And remember, the people that are going to get their break, not the, if you were established, if you were a boomer, you were at one of these elite institutions, you already had tenure or the equivalent thereof. It was everybody else it was the millennials who got fed, into the wood chipper of DEI madness, professionally. And this piece goes into details about it. And these places are not elite anymore. And Hollywood TV writing got really crappy. And we all noticed. We have all, in fact, noticed. So they can tell us you're not allowed to notice these things, whether it's radical Islam and terrorism or DEI and the quality of the scripts that you're seeing produced on TV. But we do, in fact, notice. So that is where that stands. And I thought that piece was very powerful. No matter how safe you think you are, you can be safer. You want to be prepared. That's where Sabre comes in. Saber's a company we trust to provide our families with the best non-lethal self-protection tools. Clay has them. I have them. If Sabre makes it, it's in our homes. Sabre spelled S-A-B-R-E. The website is sabreradio.com. You can go big with their pepper spray projectile launcher, shaped like a pistol or rifle, or get their innovative 2-in-1 pepper light, both a flashlight and a pepper spray. Sabre's the #1 pepper spray brand trusted by law enforcement. Decide whatever you want when you go to their site. They have so many great products. Sabreradio.com, S-A-B-R-E. Sabreradio.com. You'll save 15% there today, or call 844-824-SAFE, 844-824-SAFE.
Keep up with the biggest political comeback in world history on the Team 47 podcast. Clay and Buck highlight Trump replays from the week. Sundays at noon Eastern. Find it on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
10 athletes will face the toughest job interview in fitness that will push past physical and mental breaking points. You are the fittest of the fit. Only one of you will leave here with an iFit contract for $250,000.
This is when mindset comes in.
Someone will be eliminated.
Pressure is coming down.
Trainer Games on Prime Video January 8th. Watch the trailer on trainergames.com.
Season 2 of Unrivaled Basketball is here, and the talent is unreal. Paige Beckers, Nafisa Collier, Kelsey Plum, Brianna Stewart, and more are back to redefine the game. Unrivaled Basketball, Season 2, sponsored by Samsung Galaxy, tips off January 5th on TNT, True TV, and HBO Max.
These days, it seems like AI agents are just about everywhere you turn, every field and every function. But without identity, you can't trust they'll serve your business instead of jeopardizing it. Fortunately, Okta helps you get identity right by securing your AI agents' identities, giving you a single layer of control, a single standard of trust. So whether an AI agent supports a single user or your entire enterprise, with Okta, you'll turn risk into opportunity. Secure every agent. Secure any agent. Okta secures AI.
Running a business is hard enough, so why make it harder with a dozen different apps that don't talk to each other? One for sales, another for inventory, a separate one for accounting. Before you know it, you are drowning in software instead of growing your business. This is where Odoo comes in. Odoo is the only business software you'll ever need. It's an all-in-one, fully integrated platform that handles everything: CRM, accounting, inventory, e-commerce, HR, and more. No more app overload. No more juggling logins. Just one seamless system that makes work easier. And the best part, Odoo replaces multiple expensive platforms for a fraction of the cost. It's built to grow with your business, whether you are just starting out or already scaling up. Plus, it's easy to use, customizable, and designed to streamline every process, so you can focus on what really matters: running your business. Thousands of businesses have made the switch, so why not you? Try Odoo for free at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
The world's best ski and snowboard athletes are chasing medals. Now you can follow their every move. Join Insider, the official U.S. ski and snowboard fan loyalty program, and get premium viewing at World Cup ski events, exclusive athlete meetups, discounts from brands you love, and a custom welcome gift mailed direct to your doorstep. This winter, show your support as they race for the podium. Head to insider.usskiandsnowboard.org and join today.
While we're spending time with family this holiday season and Buck is stuck in a sound booth recording his new book, you can listen to us on the podcast.
Clay, don't rub it in. But that's right. Just fire up the iHeartRadio app and kick back with the Sunday Hang. Guaranteed laughs. Or check out any of our other great hosts in the Clay and Buck Podcast Network.
There's so much content, you won't even miss us.
But we'll miss you and look forward to speaking with you again in the new year. Until then, shields high.
Welcome back in here to Clay and Buck. Oh, there's even more coming on this. A lot of terrorism analysis going on the show today, bringing me back to my roots. As you know, I was a CTC analyst, a CIA officer, a CTC analyst, which is the Counterterrorism Center, which was stood up really as the anti-Al-Qaeda unit of the Central Intelligence Agency. It had a different name before it was CTC, and then it became CTC. And it was really at the center of the action on a lot of what the CIA did and did quite well post 9/11 in the war on terror, tracking down these targets all over, well, the places that you know about, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, the Philippines, a place we're going to talk about here shortly, where there's still Islamic terrorism. Isn't it interesting? If I sat here and asked you, if I sat here and asked you to name a Christian terrorist group, you could think for a few minutes. I don't know. Maybe you'd come up with something. I don't know. I can't. But if I said come up with a Christian terrorist group all over the world, in pretty much every country where there's any concentration of Christians, you definitely wouldn't be able to do that. Right? Isn't that an interesting exercise? You might say, oh, but Buck, that sounds, Islamophobic. It sounds so racist. Hold on a second. If I asked you to come up with a Buddhist terrorist group, a lot of Buddhists all over the world. In fact, there are about as many Buddhists in America as there are Muslims. How many Buddhist terrorist attacks can you think about on U.S. soil? How many of those have happened? Can you think of one? I did this for a living, and I can't. Sikhs. Sikhs are from South Asia. They are generally brown. They, therefore, are ethnically the same as a lot of, or look very similar to, a lot of Muslims from the South Asia, including Pakistanis and Afghanis and people from India. I know there's all kinds of variation and everything else, but I'm just saying, generally speaking, how many Sikh terrorist attacks have occurred in the United States in your memory? Where a Sikh was just, he took out his working blade, as Sikhs are supposed to carry, and just started running around stabbing Zero. Not a single one. 99% of Sikhs are non-white. About 1 million Sikhs live in America. Not a single Sikh terror attack. Now, why am I going through this exercise? Because the people who tell you that there isn't something that is uniquely problematic to Islam in the 21st century, or the 20th century for that matter, when it comes to terrorism, are delusional. We all know this. We all know this. I told you, when I worked, again, Manufacturing Delusion. Speaking of delusions, my book, please go buy copies. I need all of you to buy copies. The conservative book market has been falling apart. You know that? Because people who used to listen to, or rather, who have listened to shows like this one and listened to Rush and others, there's not as many good books out there. I know this is self-serving. Make no mistake about it. You helped me get to number 1 of the New York Times bestseller list by particularly buying advanced copies. Comes out February 17th of Manufacturing Delusion. You helped me. You know what that does? Everybody, all the other conservatives that you like out there right now, especially my contemporaries, there have been, Mark Levin's been fantastically successful selling books, and Bill O'Reilly. I'm talking about the younger generation. They're not writing books. You know why? Because you can't make any money because people aren't buying books. And then what happens? And then people just start hiring ghostwriters. I poured my blood, sweat, and tears into this book. If you help me make this successful, I am telling you, there will be other people, maybe people that you even like more than me, which would be sad, but possibly, they will be like, oh, okay, the book market is alive and well. The book market is in a rough spot. Part of this also ties into the DEI stuff I want to talk about later. That's on the publisher side, but Manufacturing Delusion, go get a copy, buy it on Amazon, buy it wherever you can. Buy it now because that is the first printing. Buy it now because it's all about the first week. What is that number? That then determines the momentum and everything else. But I talk about these things. This is why I'm thinking about this right now, the arguments you'll hear about Islamophobia. I worked at the NYPD Intelligence Division, now Intelligence Bureau. Why am I bringing that up? Because just for the sake of making everybody feel like it wasn't the Islamic terrorism unit, which it was, but we couldn't call it that. What were the real plots against New York City? It was always some crazy Muslim guy who wanted to shoot up a synagogue or blow up a subway. Always, always, always. We had a white supremacist unit, and we had an Antifa unit, and we had they were really, really bored. But I want to arm you with this argument about why Islamophobia is a nonsense term meant to shut down free and fair debate and discussion. It's an ideology. It is not a skin color. It is not an ethnicity. Anybody who says otherwise is ignorant. They don't know what they're talking about. Okay. They have no idea. Some of the craziest jihadis you will ever see in your life are absolutely as white as I am because they come from the Caucasus Mountain area, like Caucasian. I mean, this is, you'll see Kurds with blonde hair and blue eyes. Now, the Kurds tend to be great and wonderful people, but technically, I'm just saying, not a lot of jihadis coming out of Kurdistan. But yeah, you get that they're Muslims. They're not ethnically, there's no ethnic similarity. They want to make it about race because they want to make you not think about what's going on here. And so to anybody who says, I've even run through this exercise because this is going to start to come up more, my friends. Islam, radical Islam. We killed off a lot of the worst terrorists. We did, with all the special operators and the drone strikes and everything. We paid a huge price for it. Was it worth it? Was it not? That's a whole other conversation. But we killed off Al-Qaeda leadership all over the world. Truly. We killed off whole generations of foreign fighters. Truly. They can say we made them. I don't know. If you grow up in London and you decide you want to go blow yourself up in Iraq, I think you probably had problems before we invaded. But this is what is going on right now. There's a resurgence. You're seeing it, the beginnings of it, a resurgence of radical Islam. The Taliban controls Afghanistan. We have this problem, and the same voice you're going to be saying, oh, the real issue here is Islamophobia. No, it's not. It's not. The real issue is people need to see what's going on and speak openly and honestly about it. And this is why I say you'll notice there's no Buddhaphobia in America. They'll only talk about Islamophobia. Why is that? Most Buddhists are non-white. I mean, there's like some, Malibu moms who become Buddhists, but generally speaking, most Buddhists are non-white. And there's no terrorist attacks here from Buddhists. Or if there is, there's one or something. I'm sure somebody's going to find one on the internet, but they don't cause this problem. From within the Islamic community, from within roughly the same number, Muslim Americans, Buddhist Americans. One of them is causing a whole lot of terrorist attacks. The other's not. And they're both non-white. So what is going on here? Okay. I just wanted to get that out of the way, or rather arm you with that, because as we talk more about this, now we have, for example, a GOP strategist who went on TV and said straight up, that there are students who have gone on the record saying, this is cut 35, that the shooter on Brown University yelled Allahu Akbar. Play 35.
The police did a press conference yesterday, and they would not confirm what the shooter yelled out before he started shooting. So you had a room of 60 students, 11 which have been shot, 2 are now dead. But that means that there are, at least they said somewhere around 40 students who are in there who could confirm what this man shot. At least 5 students that I have seen have confirmed on the record in media interviews saying that he yelled Allahu Akbar. Well, I think that that's pretty relative information. I think that that would matter as there's a massive search for the shooter. Did he yell Allahu Akbar? Because then we should be looking for a, free Palestine terrorist. And Reddit yesterday, by the way, had to shut down the Brown University board because Free Palestine students were celebrating Ella Cook's death.
Well, you look at that. Now, you see what they're going to do is, assuming that this all lines up, the libs in charge here, the lib, police chief here, you can tell this guy's a lib, the libs who run Providence, the libs in the media, the people that are always making excuses for radical Islam. It's our fault. We didn't assimilate them well enough. It's our Islamophobia, whatever. Also, this plays very much into the politics of the moment because this would be, like I said, another high-profile political assassination on a college campus within 4 months of the Charlie Kirk assassination. This is a one-way street, my friends. Only one side is doing this stuff. And it ain't Trumpers. It ain't secure. It ain't people who are security focused on the right. No. That's not who's doing this stuff. National security hawks, people who college Republicans. No. We're not the ones that are causing this kind of violence. We're not the ones that are doing this. So that's why they don't want you to know it. And this all lines up as well. I will never forget under the Obama administration, the Pulse nightclub shooting in Florida. And some jihadist lunatic goes into a gay nightclub and starts just murdering and slaughtering as many people as possible. It's just horrific beyond imagination, beyond words. And the FBI under Obama blacks out on the official transcript they release him saying Allahu Akbar, him saying I did this for ISIS, him saying, this is what the true Muslims do or something. Well, all that stuff blacked out. We all knew what was there. Why would they hide that from us? Because they think you can't be trusted with the truth. And I'm getting a lot of that from what happened here at Brown University. And they do this for a reason. They tell themselves, or they'll tell you, it's because we're waiting for all the facts to come in, or we don't want there to be innocent people targeted because of bigotry or whatever. But really what's going on here is this looks bad for their team, roughly speaking, the left, the Democrats, the other side of our political divide. And you can say, oh, but why? This guy's a radical Muslim. And if you're a radical Muslim in America today, are you going to vote Republican or Democrat? In fact, if you're looking for a radical Islamic elected official in today's America, is it going to be a Democrat or Republican? We all know what's going on here. So I think we need to speak honestly and truthfully about it, even if they try to say things to you. But like I said, always walk anyone who says you're being Islamophobic. And I could do all the throat clearing. It's less than 1% of Muslims in this country have any affiliation with any kind of an extremist group. And, but we all know that. But unfortunately, even if it's 1/10 of 1%, if you're talking about millions and millions of people, that's a big problem. If that includes people who are going to go out and shoot up dozens of people or, blow up subway cars or whatever it is, that's a big problem. And think about how much time they spent on the other side under the Biden years in particular, telling you that the real threat of extremism was right-wing extremists. Nobody gets on a plane and says, I'm worried that one of the MAGA guys is going to sneak a bomb on this thing. Nobody. Not even the jihadists. Nobody thinks that. But we have to pretend? I've never pretended. So I was going to say I'm done pretending, but I've never pretended. I've always been very honest on this. This is why I started to get in trouble at CNN. Because they would try to have their experts come out and talk to me about this. And I would smoke them like the fools they are because I know more than them and they're on the wrong side. So I want you to know this stuff. I want you to be equipped with these arguments because it's going to come up more. Do you think that all these students that have gone on the record misheard what was said? Possible. Likely? No. All right. For every single day in America, we lose close to 3,000 unborn babies to abortion. It is a tragedy, but there is a group out there that's doing something right now to save those lives. The team at Preborn, they're on the front lines of saving life. They meet pregnant mothers in their darkest hours who are leaning toward a decision to abort their unborn baby. But Preborn says, hold on a second. Let's give you love, acceptance, understanding, and support right now. And through doing this, 70,000 babies have been rescued this year. 70,000. That's a big football stadium full of little boys and girls who have lives today, thanks to Preborn. It's incredible what they're doing. And this all starts with a free ultrasound for that mom, because when mom sees her baby's heartbeat, it is a game changer. She needs to know what's in her womb to make that choice. Other people, Planned Parenthood, the left, they want to hide this truth from her and then have her push her toward a decision she can never take back. Preborn says, let's give you love and let's give you clarity and let's give that baby life. It's the end of the year. Would you make a tax-deductible donation to Preborn, please? Just $28 provides a life-saving ultrasound. And this week, there's a long-time donor to Preborn that is matching your gift. So guess what? If you can give $28, it's really $56. Okay? Go to preborn.org preborn.com/buck. That's preborn.com/BUCK. For somebody out there right now, one of you listening, there's a few million of you listening right now, but one or two of you right now, you can go to preborn.com/buck and you can make a $5,000 donation. 100% tax deductible. And I know you're going to do it. And it's going to be matched. That means $10,000, which pretty much pays for an ultrasound machine. Think of how many babies you can save. Dial pound 250. Say the keyword baby. Dial pound 250. Say the word baby. Sponsored by Preborn.
Patriots, radio hosts, a couple of regular guys. Clay Travis and Buck Sexton. Find them on the free iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
10 athletes will face the toughest job interview in fitness that will push past physical and mental breaking points. You are the fittest of the fit. Only one of you will leave here with an iFit contract for $250,000.
This is when mindset comes in.
Someone will be eliminated.
Pressure is coming down.
Trainer Games on Prime Video January 8th. Watch the trailer on trainergames.com.
Season 2 of Unrivaled Basketball is here, and the talent is unreal. The best women's players on the planet are running it back with even bigger moments and bigger stakes. Don't miss as Paige Beckers, Nafisa Collier, Kelsey Plum, Brianna Stewart, and more take the court and redefine the game. This isn't your regular season. This is Unrivaled, where the pace is faster, the energy is higher, and every athlete shines. Unrivaled Basketball, Season 2, sponsored by Samsung Galaxy, tips off January 5th on TNT, True TV, and HBO Max.
These days, it seems like AI agents are just about everywhere you turn, every field and every function. But without identity, you can't trust they'll serve your business instead of jeopardizing it. Fortunately, Okta helps you get identity right by securing your AI agents' identities, giving you a single layer of control, a single standard of trust. So whether an AI agent supports a single user or your entire enterprise, with Okta, you'll turn risk into opportunity. Secure every agent. Secure any agent. Okta secures AI.
Ever wish you could try the Washington Post and see what all the talk is about? Right now, you can, with a 1-week pass for just $7. No commitment, no strings attached. Just $7 for 1 week of unlimited access to the Post. It's the perfect way to explore our award-winning journalism and experience what subscribers already know. There's nothing else quite like it. So why not give us a try? Go to WashingtonPost.com/week and start your $7 1-week pass today. That's WashingtonPost.com/week.
The world's best ski and snowboard athletes are chasing medals. Now you can follow their every move. Join Insider, the official U.S. ski and snowboard fan loyalty program, and get premium viewing at World Cup ski events, exclusive athlete meetups, discounts from brands you love, and a custom welcome gift mailed direct to your doorstep. This winter, show your support as they race for the podium. Head to insider.usskiandsnowboard.org and join today.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed Human.